People like tidy explanations. I used to give them one. I'm Eli, 30, UX designer by day, amiable to the point of boring by choice. I like clean lines, good coffee, and a calendar that actually behaves itself. My apartment is the kind of place you'd expect a person with my job to have. Mid-century chair, an overwatered succulent, books half-shelved and half-stacked because I like the look of organized chaos. It's cozy, predictable, ornately average. I liked it that way. Emma called it calm. She called me reliable and kissed my freckle when she wanted me to remember something. We've been together for years. She's a primary school teacher who comes home with the faint scent of crayons and lunchroom tuna, and she finds ways to make even my spreadsheets sound like poetry. If I had to name the thing I love most about her, it's the way she notices small truths, the way she can see I'm tired before I say a word.
She doesn't know everything about me, though.
No one does. There are borrowed corners of myself, curiosities, quiet experiments that I keep tucked away like notes I'll never send. One of those secret corners is the ease I feel in clothes that aren't mine. When I was a teenager, I'd sometimes take my sister's old scarves and twirl in front of the mirror, not out of rebellion, but because cloth has always felt like a way of asking a question of the world. What if? The first time I slipped into a skirt properly, not as a joke at a party, but alone, carefully, with the room to breathe, the world tilted a little and revealed a stranger I liked enough to study. I didn't give that version a name. I gave it time. I told myself I was just curious. That secret has its own tidy rules. Private, consensual, quiet. It lives behind a locked drawer and a password-protected folder of photos no one sees. And for the most part, it's been safe. So when Jonah, my best friend since college, the kind of person whose entire life is a performance amplifier, came to me with the idea, I heard a practical voice in my head that said yes before the rest of me caught up. Eli, he said over beers at our regular bar, cheeks flushed, eyes unusually sincere. Jonah is loud in the way of people who learned early that a loud voice covers a nervous one. He's a bar manager we all pretend we don't envy. He knows every neighborhood, every bartender's tip, and has a laugh that pulls attention toward him like gravity. He's been single for a while. He's called me family more times than I can count. When he said, I want a sister, he didn't mean it in the ordinary, figurative sense. He meant it in a practical, stubborn, very Jonah way. I can't adopt, he said. And I can't afford the whole matchmaking ritual your aunt swears by. But I can have the thing that looks like having a sister. Someone to show up as my sister at the restaurant openings, someone who helps me with my chaotic life, so it looks less chaotic.
You're stable, Eli.
You'd be a great sister. The idea felt ridiculous. It felt flattering in a small, dangerous way. Jonah framed it as a favor. Help him invent family for a weekend of social obligations, play his sister for a couple of public moments, a brunch at his boss's place, a soft-featured photo for his social feed. No one needs to know, he promised. It's theater. For my life. For social strategy. He laughed and left it light like a paper lantern. Emma, when I told her, did that smile she gets that makes me feel both loved and tested. So you'd be doing what? She asked. Playing his sister? She sounded amused, then curious, which meant she might say yes. She did, with conditions, safety, honesty after the fact, no surprises. I agreed, and slept on it. If it had been only a day, I might have felt differently. But Jonah's request never stayed a weekend stunt. It folded into his calendar, more openings, a charity luncheon, a friend's wedding where family photos were to be taken. Think of it as helping a friend, he said. And think of the money I'll donate to your design class fund. He made the offer practical. He made it appealing. He made it sound like an opportunity. Underneath my pragmatic rationalizations, a quieter current pulled. The private person in the mirror had always wanted to see whether the sensation of being seen as something else could survive public scrutiny. If I did this, it would be publicly visible, not a secret in the night. It would require hair, makeup, posture, voice. It would require me to occupy a role outside the safety net of my apartment. It would, in other words, be a test. We planned conservatively. Jonah's girlfriend offered to do makeup. Emma said she wouldn't help, but she was curious. She promised to be available on call. Jonah rented a dress for stage and a wig that looked natural. We rehearsed in my living room first, Jonah narrating instructions like a director who'd finally found his cast. He taught me how to sit like a sister, knees together, hands loose, the soft cadence of a voice that asks questions not to interrogate, but to hold space. At the first dress rehearsal, I felt ridiculous and thrilled. The dress hugged unfamiliar places and made me aware of gestures I'd taken for granted. The wig felt foreign at my neck, but when I looked in the mirror, something uncoiled inside me, a blush of recognition so acute I almost apologized to the glass. That night Jonah's optimism felt contagious. "You'll be brilliant," he declared, wrapping an arm around my shoulder with too much affection. "You'll be my sister. You'll make my life look sweeter." He sounded like he believed it would be easy. Emma, when she saw me in the full outfit for the first time, paused. She took me in, the dress, the tilt of my chin, the way I'd practiced a softer smile. For a second I read her face like a page, surprise, amusement, then a small, complicated tenderness. "We have to set boundaries," she said. "Promise me this will remain a thing between us and Jonah, nothing else." I promised, and the promise echoed like a coin dropped into deep water. The story needed a little push to begin. That push came in the form of a text from Jonah a week later. "Brunch at my boss's Sunday.
Can you be there?
Boss loves family. I'll make it worth your trouble." He added a winking selfie with the message as punctuation. I looked at the dress hanging in my closet, soft and waiting, and felt the old pressed flower thought stir again. Curious, fragile, and possibly dangerous. I told myself the stakes were small, a brunch, a few photos, a scene staged for the benefit of a camera. I told myself I could step in and step out. That's where the introduction ends, with me, Eli, standing in front of a closet where a different face waits, with Jonah's easy smile mapping out a plan, and with Emma's cautious blessing still warm on my phone. The scene is tidy enough to be plausible and crooked enough to be complicated. The rest of the story, the build-up, the test of performance, the close calls, the emotional reckoning, starts the moment I choose to become Jonah's sister in public, and the small, controlled experiment begins to ripple outward. Jonah's text came early Sunday morning, blunt as ever. "Brunch at 11. Wear the cream dress. I'll pick you up."
No emoji this time.
No laugh. Just instructions. The kind of message that makes you realize you've already said yes to more than you intended. I stood in front of the mirror again. The cream dress hung from the door like a promise and a dare. Light streamed through the blinds in clean stripes, cutting the room into lines of shadow and confession. I'd done this before in secret, but today felt different. Today the reflection wasn't only mine. It was a character I'd agreed to inhabit. My hands shook as I started. Primer first, foundation after. The scent of liquid powder filled the room, faintly sweet. I'd watched enough tutorials to know where the brush should glide, how the contour could trick the light into kindness. Jonah's girlfriend had taught me a few shortcuts, how to line lips softer, how to draw attention to the eyes. My voice in the mirror murmured words of reassurance, half ritual, half survival. When I fastened the wig and saw the new shape of my face, I had to pause. For a moment, Eli disappeared. In his place stood someone who might have been his cousin or his sister. Someone with curious eyes that asked, "Could you live like this?" I slipped into the dress. The zipper whispered shut. The fabric hugged my shoulders, traced my waist. The heels, low, careful, unfamiliar, forced me to stand straighter. I checked my reflection again. The image didn't feel like a costume anymore. It felt like possibility dressed in borrowed grace. When Jonah arrived, he whistled, an honest, unguarded sound. "Damn, you look believable." "Believable," I repeated, half laughing. "That's the word you're going with." He grinned. "Trust me, it's the highest compliment. You're my sister, remember? Be casual, be charming, don't overthink. Just play along." In the car, I kept my hands folded in my lap, afraid the nail polish would smudge. My heart drummed louder than the music Jonah played. He talked nonstop about the restaurant his boss, the plan for introductions, but the words blurred. All I could think of was how the air from the AC brushed my bare legs and how strange it felt to be outside like this, visible. Every passing car seemed to look inside. Every glance from the streetlights felt like interrogation. The restaurant was one of those curated brunch spots. White marble, green plants, people who dressed like they belonged on lifestyle blogs. Jonah's boss, a tall man with perfect posture, met us at the door. "Jonah," he said warmly. "And this must be your sister." Jonah's hand tightened briefly on my back. "Yes," he said easily. "This is Eliza." Eliza. The name slipped into the air like a secret I'd been waiting for. I smiled, felt the lipstick stretch, heard my voice soften. "Nice to meet you." The moment the first stranger accepted me as Eliza, a quiet thrill shot through me. It wasn't just relief, it was electricity. For the next hour, I played my part. I talked about design, my real job, but softened the details, kept the tone light, let Jonah lead. His boss asked polite questions, and I answered with careful laughter. Every time Jonah looked at me, there was pride in his eyes, and something else, gratitude, maybe awe. After brunch, the boss's wife took a liking to me. "You're so graceful," she said, complimenting my earrings. "Jonah's lucky to have such a lovely sister." Graceful. Lovely. Words I'd never heard pointed at me before. They sank deep, too easily. By the time we left, my cheeks hurt from smiling. In the car, Jonah couldn't stop talking. "You were perfect, Eliza. I mean it, you were composed, funny, you looked like you belonged. My boss actually texted me after you went to the restroom, said I must have good genes in the family." He laughed, but I could tell he meant it as praise. I stared out the window, watching my reflection slide across glass towers and afternoon light. "That was strange," I murmured. "Good strange?" he asked. "Maybe too good." When I got home, Emma was waiting, curled on the couch with her laptop. She looked up, froze for a second, then smiled cautiously. "You look beautiful." Her tone carried both warmth and something unreadable. "Thanks," I said. My voice sounded foreign in this body, soft but uncertain. "So, how was it? Did he get his family photo moment?" "Yeah," I said.
He did.
Everyone believed it. Emma studied me quietly.
"And you?"
"Did you like it?" The question landed heavier than she intended. "I don't know," I admitted. It felt real. Too real. She nodded slowly. "Just don't lose yourself in it, okay?" Her voice trembled just enough for me to hear the fear she wouldn't name. The following week, Jonah sent more texts. "You are such a hit. Need you for another thing, small party Friday night." Then, promise, last one. But each last one became another. Each event required more polish, more refinement. We began to shop for clothes together. He'd joke, "You have better taste than me," while handing me dresses to try. We laughed, but beneath it was a pulse of something neither of us mentioned, how natural it was becoming for me. I learned small tricks quickly, how to cross my legs instinctively, how to lower my voice into a lilting rhythm, how to walk through rooms without drawing suspicion. The mirror became less foreign each time. Sometimes, when I looked at myself as Eliza, I'd feel a pang of calm, like I'd stumbled into a version of me that fit more comfortably than expected. But secrets grow fast. Emma's tolerance began to stretch thin. She'd glance at the makeup wipes in the bathroom, at the neatly hung dresses, at the perfume that wasn't hers. "You're spending a lot of time helping Jonah," she said once, her tone careful. "It's temporary," I assured her. "Just until he sorts things out." "Maybe," she said. "But are you sure it's still for him?" Her words lingered long after she went to bed. That night I sat at my desk, still wearing the wig, still painted as Eliza, staring at my reflection on the dark laptop screen. Who was I doing this for now, Jonah or myself? The more Jonah asked, the harder it became to say no. Each new request carried the same line. "You're saving me." He'd hug me after every event, call me sis, whisper that I was the only person he trusted. And somewhere along the way, that bond became complicated. He started inviting me to hangouts where people only knew me as Eliza. He'd introduce me with pride, not hesitation. Sometimes, When our eyes met across the room, I saw confusion flicker behind his smile, the kind that comes from seeing someone you thought you knew become someone else entirely. Emma began pulling away. She stopped asking questions. When she did speak, her words came wrapped in quiet anger. "You're different lately," she said one night. "You look happier, but not with me." I didn't know how to answer. By the third month, Jonah had practically built Eliza into his social world. "People adore you," he'd say. "You make everything easier." And he wasn't wrong. Doors opened faster. Faces softened around me. Even strangers treated me with an ease that Eli rarely received. It was intoxicating. Then came the moment that changed everything. It was another Friday night gathering. Jonah's boss, the same man from the brunch, was there again, with his wife, his friends, cameras flashing. I wore a soft lavender dress, hair pinned, nerve steady. Halfway through the evening, someone called out, "You two look so much alike. Can we get a photo of the siblings?" We posed. Flash. Laughter. Then another flash. And in that instant, the boss's wife said casually, "I'll tag you both when I post this later." Jonah's smile froze. My heart dropped. By the time I got home, the photo was already online. Public. Tagged. Visible to everyone, including Emma, who texted me a single message before I even had time to think. "Eliza?" I sat on the edge of the bed, makeup still on, hands trembling. The air felt heavy with exposure. The secret had crossed the thin border between private performance and public reality. I didn't know which frightened me more, Emma's message, or the quiet truth that a part of me didn't want to delete that photo. That night, as I wiped off my makeup, I realized that the thrill and the fear had become indistinguishable. And somewhere between the reflection and the person behind it, a question whispered, "When does pretending stop being pretend?" Emma's message, just that single word, "Eliza?" sat on the screen like a loaded gun. I stared at it for a full minute before typing anything back. My fingers hovered above the keyboard, but every possible reply felt wrong. The truth? A lie? A joke? None of it could undo what had already happened. The photo was public, the tag visible, the illusion broken. I finally typed, "Can we talk?" Her reply came seconds later. "You'd better come home now." The drive back felt endless. My heart thudded against my ribs, the makeup smudged on my hands from the steering wheel. When I opened the door, Emma was sitting at the kitchen table. The lights were low, but her eyes burned sharp through the shadows. She had her phone open, the photo displayed on the screen. "You want to explain this?" she asked quietly. I swallowed hard. "It's not what it looks like." Her laugh was bitter. "Then what is it, Eli? Because to me, it looks like you've been living a double life with your best friend." I tried to explain. I told her about Jonah's problem, the stupid idea of pretending to be his sister, how it started as a favor. But as I spoke, the words sounded hollow even to me. The truth was tangled between obligation and fascination, and I couldn't separate one from the other anymore. Emma folded her arms. "How long has this been going on?" 3 months, I said quietly. Her face hardened. 3 months? Eli, that's not a favor. That's a lifestyle. Her voice cracked on the last word, and I felt something collapse inside me. "I didn't mean for it to become that," I said. "It just happened. People believed it. It made things easier." "Easier for who?" "You or him," she snapped. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because deep down, I knew it wasn't just for Jonah anymore. It had become a space where I felt, if only briefly, free. Emma stood up, shaking her head. "I don't even know who you are anymore." "I'm still me," I insisted. "I'm still Eli." She looked me up and down, the traces of makeup, the faint scent of perfume that no wash could hide. "Then start acting like it," she said, and walked away. The next day, Jonah showed up at my apartment unannounced. "You okay?" he asked as soon as I opened the door. "No," I said flatly. Emma saw the photo. His face fell. "Damn it. I'm sorry." "I didn't think. You never do." I cut him off. "You said this would stay between us. You promised." He raised his hands in surrender. I know. It's my fault. But you have to admit, it wasn't all me. You kept saying yes. That hit harder than I expected. I said yes because I thought I was helping you, I said quietly. Not because I wanted to become this. Didn't you? He asked too softly. The question landed like a slap. I opened my mouth, but no sound came out. Jonah took a step closer. Look, I saw how you changed when you were Eliza. You were confident, comfortable. You smiled more. Don't tell me that was just acting. It was pretending, I said. Pretending doesn't make you cry when you take the wig off, he whispered. The silence that followed was unbearable. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Listen, the post is already out there. People love you. My boss even invited you to his wife's charity gala next month. It's a big deal. You could come one last time, set things right, then we're done. One last time. The words should have been a relief, but instead, they sounded like an invitation I couldn't refuse. Maybe because I wanted to see if I could do it again. Maybe because part of me wanted to prove something, to Emma, to Jonah, to myself. The weeks leading up to the gala were strange. Emma barely spoke to me. We lived in silence, broken only by polite words about groceries or bills. I could feel her slipping away, inch by inch, but I didn't stop her. I didn't have the courage. Instead, I buried myself in preparation. Jonah was ecstatic, bringing dresses, jewelry, heels, every detail planned. The lavender dress I'd worn before was replaced by something bolder, a black gown that clung in all the right places. It wasn't modest, it was powerful. Looking in the mirror, I realized this version of me didn't need Jonah's approval anymore. Eliza stood tall, confident, aware of her own allure. The night of the gala arrived like the calm before a storm. As Jonah helped me zip the back of the gown, his fingers brushed my skin. I felt the air change between us. You sure about this? He asked quietly. No, I admitted. But I'm going anyway. When we entered the ballroom, all eyes turned. Cameras flashed. Music swelled. The air smelled of perfume and champagne. Jonah introduced me as Eliza again, effortlessly, and the crowd accepted me without hesitation. Compliments poured in. Hands reached out. For a few dizzying hours, I forgot everything else. I was seen, not as a joke or a disguise, but as someone real. Then I saw Emma. She was standing by the bar, wearing a crimson dress, her eyes locked on me. I froze. She shouldn't have been there. She hated these events. But now, watching her expression shift from confusion to recognition, I realized Jonah had invited her. Her gaze moved from my painted lips to Jonah's hand resting on my waist. The silence between us roared louder than the music. She didn't need to ask anything. She already knew. She turned and walked away. Emma, I called, breaking free from Jonah. He tried to stop me, but I was already running after her, heels clattering on the marble floor. Outside, the night air was cold and sharp. Emma stood by the fountain, her arms wrapped around herself. Don't, she said as I approached. Don't come closer. Please let me explain. Explain what? That my boyfriend turned into someone else? That you like being her more than being you? Her voice trembled, but her anger was real. It's not like that, I said. This isn't about wanting to replace myself, it's about understanding myself. Then why did you lie? She demanded. Because I didn't understand it either. I shouted. The words echoed against the walls. I didn't know how to tell you that I felt more alive pretending to be someone else. Emma's expression softened for a heartbeat, then hardened again. You can't keep living in both worlds, Eli. You have to choose. Before I could answer, Jonah appeared behind me. Everything okay? Emma glared at him. You did this to him. Jonah shook his head. He chose this. I just helped him see it. The two of them stared at each other, and I suddenly felt like a ghost between them, caught between who I was and who I'd become. Then, as if fate wanted to twist the knife, a photographer from the gala came outside. Excuse me, he said cheerfully. Can I get a few shots of you three together? You look amazing. Emma turned away. Don't you dare. But Jonah smiled faintly. Why not? One last picture of the truth. Before I could react, the flash went off once, twice, 3 times. And in that brief strobe of light, the world tilted. Emma walked away into the night. Jonah lowered his arm. And I stood there, caught between identities, blinded by the light that made both of them visible. The next morning, the photos were everywhere. Jonah and his sister Eliza steal the show at the charity gala. The headline read. Comments flooded in, praise, curiosity, gossip. Some even tagged me directly. My face, Eliza's face, was now public in ways I could never undo.
Emma didn't come home that night.
Or the next. Jonah texted, "We did it. Everyone loved you." But all I could think was that I'd lost something I couldn't replace. I went to the mirror one last time. The wig lay beside the sink, the dress folded neatly on the counter. I looked at my reflection. Half-washed makeup, red-rimmed eyes, confusion swirling beneath exhaustion. For the first time, I didn't know whether I wanted to take it all off or keep it on forever. Because when I looked at Eliza, I saw peace. And when I looked at Eli, I saw emptiness. And somewhere deep inside, I finally understood what Jonah meant when he said pretending doesn't make you cry when you stop. The moment of truth came crashing down on me like a storm I could no longer outrun. I had pushed the boundaries too far, spent too long pretending, hiding, and hoping no one would notice. But that illusion was shattering tonight. I stood in Emma's room. No, my best friend's room, wearing her lavender sundress, the same one she used to wear during summer picnics. My hair, now perfectly straightened and brushed to a glossy shine, fell across my shoulders, brushing against the smooth fabric of the dress. My lips glimmered pink, and my face, so different, so delicate, looked almost unrecognizable in the mirror. I whispered to myself, "You're just doing this for her. She wanted a sister. This is for her." But the voice in my head replied, quieter, trembling, "You like it, don't you?" Just as that thought crossed my mind, I heard the sound that froze my blood. The front door clicked open. Emma wasn't supposed to be home until tomorrow. I panicked. My hands shook as I tried to peel off the wig, but my fingers fumbled against the pins. The heels that had once made me feel graceful now made me clumsy as I stumbled toward the closet. Every sound in the house, the creak of the floorboards, the rustle of fabric, felt like an alarm. "Hello." Emma's voice echoed down the hallway. "Ryan, are you here?" I froze. My reflection stared back at me, a perfect imitation of her sister, but also a living confession of my secret. My heart thudded so hard I could feel it in my throat. I grabbed a hoodie, tried to throw it on, but the makeup, the wig, the heels, there was no hiding them in time. I could hear her footsteps approaching, the casual rhythm of someone who had no idea that her best friend was about to break her trust in the most confusing way possible. "Ryan," she said again, knocking on the door. I didn't answer. The door creaked open. Her eyes met mine instantly, shock widening them, her mouth falling open, her keys slipping from her fingers and clattering to the floor. For a few eternal seconds, there was silence. Then she spoke, her voice almost a whisper. "Ryan, what are you wearing?" The question cut deeper than it should have. My lips parted, but no words came out. How could I explain that I had started this as a favor, a joke, a harmless bit of fun, and that somewhere along the way, I had found something real? I stammered, backing up slightly. "It's not what you think, But Emma stepped closer, her eyes scanning me from head to toe. She wasn't angry. She wasn't laughing. She was confused, maybe even hurt. "Were you trying to look like me?" she asked softly. Her words hit me like a slap. The truth, unspoken but clear, filled the air. I looked like her, almost too much like her. The same hairstyle, the same dress, even her perfume that I had sprayed without thinking. It was a twisted reflection, an imitation that had gone too far. "I thought it would be funny," I managed, my voice shaking. "You said you wanted a sister, and—" "I didn't mean literally," she said, taking another step forward. "I wanted to vanish." My face burned, tears threatening to spill. I don't know why I kept doing it. It just felt right. Emma's expression softened for a second. "Felt right?" I nodded weakly. When I dress like this, I feel calm. Like I'm not hiding anything. Like I can breathe. For a moment, she said nothing. Her silence was worse than anger. Then she sighed and sat down on the bed, still staring at me. You should have told me, she whispered. I was scared, I said. Scared you'd think I was weird or broken. She shook her head slowly. You're not broken. But this? It's a lot to take in. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She glanced at the screen, her brows furrowing. It's Mia, she said, her roommate. She's on her way over. My breath caught.
What?
No, she can't see me like this. Emma looked at me, torn. Then you'd better hide. I darted toward the bathroom, but my heel caught the edge of the rug, and I fell hard, my wig slipping halfway off. Emma gasped, helping me up just as the doorbell rang. The situation spiraled faster than I could control. Emma shoved me behind the bathroom door, whispering, Stay quiet. Don't move. Then she rushed to answer the door. I heard voices in the living room, Mia's high, teasing tone. I just wanted to grab my charger. Hey, what's that smell? You wearing your fancy perfume again? Emma laughed nervously. Yeah, just me. Been a long day. I could hear every word, heart hammering like a drum. One wrong move, and everything would come crashing down. Then came the moment that sealed my fate, Mia's curious voice drifting closer. Did someone leave their heels in the hallway? These aren't yours, Em, they're your size, but... My blood ran cold. Emma's voice faltered. Oh, yeah, just an old pair I was. Wait, Mia interrupted. Is someone here? The sound of footsteps moved toward the bathroom. I held my breath. The doorknob turned. The door cracked open, just enough for Mia's eyes to peek through. Her expression shifted instantly from confusion to shock to laughter. Oh my God, she gasped. Ryan. Emma's face went pale. I stumbled out of the bathroom, hair disheveled, makeup smeared, looking every bit the mess of my double life. Mia looked between us, still half laughing, half stunned. What is going on here? It's not what you think, I said quickly, voice trembling. Mia smirked. Really? Because it looks like you're trying to be Emma's twin. Wow, you even nailed the hair. Emma looked torn between defending me and screaming. Mia, stop, this isn't funny. But Mia wouldn't stop. Oh, come on, it kind of is. I mean, he looks better than you in that dress. Emma snapped. Enough. Her voice filled the room, sharp and emotional. This isn't a joke, Mia. He's going through something. Just leave. Mia blinked, surprised, then backed away.
Fine.
Whatever. But don't expect me to forget this. She left, slamming the door behind her. The silence afterward was suffocating. I turned to Emma, tears streaming down my face. I'm sorry. I ruined everything. Emma shook her head, walking toward me slowly. No, she said quietly. You just showed me a side of you I didn't know existed. Her hand brushed my cheek, smudging a streak of mascara. You really do look like a sister, she whispered. And maybe that's okay. I looked up at her, breath shaky. So you're not angry? I don't know what I am, she said honestly. But I think we both need to figure out what this means for you, for us. Her words lingered, heavy with uncertainty. Then the front door creaked again. Emma and I turned simultaneously toward the sound, our hearts pounding. Mia, she called cautiously. No answer, but the faint sound of click, flash echoed from the hallway. My stomach dropped. Someone had taken a photo. And just like that, the fragile piece shattered again, replaced by the dread of exposure, the terror of what would happen when that picture spread beyond the walls of this house. The screen went dark. The flash still burned in my mind. That one sound, click, flash, was enough to turn the quiet aftermath into panic all over again. Emma froze beside me, her eyes darting toward the hallway. Did you hear that? Yes, I whispered, my voice barely audible. Someone just took a picture. We ran toward the living room, but the front door was wide open, swaying slightly in the wind. Whoever had taken that picture was gone. Emma grabbed her phone, trying to check the security camera feed, but her hands were shaking too much. It's not loading. Why isn't it loading? I just stood there, every muscle in my body tight. That photo, me, in her dress, in full makeup, could destroy everything.
My job. My family.
My friendship with Emma. Emma looked at me, eyes wide with fear. If that picture gets out. She didn't need to finish the sentence. We both knew what it meant. I sank onto the couch, burying my face in my hands. This was supposed to be a joke, Em. Just a way to make you laugh. Now it's a nightmare. She sat beside me quietly for a moment. Then, softly, "Do you really think it was just a joke?" I looked up. Her tone wasn't accusing, it was searching. "What do you mean?" I asked. She met my eyes, calm but direct. "When I saw you standing there, dressed like that, you didn't look like you were pretending. You looked right, like you were yourself." Her words hit harder than I expected. I opened my mouth, but no sound came. She was right. I had started doing this to make her laugh, to be the sister she joked about wanting, but at some point, it had stopped feeling like play. It had started feeling like freedom. "I don't know," I whispered. "Maybe it was always more than that. I just didn't want to admit it." Emma exhaled slowly, rubbing her temples. "Ryan, this is a lot. I need to think." "I understand." She stood, heading toward her room. But just before she closed the door, she looked back at me. "Whatever happens next, I won't tell anyone. I promise." The door shut softly behind her, leaving me alone in the living room, still half in makeup, still in her clothes, still caught between two versions of myself. The air felt colder now. I looked down at my painted nails, at the faint shimmer of lipstick that hadn't yet worn off. My reflection stared back from the dark TV screen, a reflection I barely recognized. For a long time, I just sat there, thinking about everything that had happened. The thrill, the fear, the way Emma looked at me, not with disgust, but with confusion and care. Then my phone buzzed. One new message. No name, just a number I didn't recognize. "Unknown. Nice look, sis. Would be a shame if everyone else saw it." My chest tightened. The photo, whoever took it, Mia or someone else, wasn't done with me. My fingers shook as I typed back. "Me. Who is this?" No reply. Just another message. This time, a photo. It was me, standing in front of the mirror, smiling slightly, completely unaware of the camera aimed at me from the doorway. And beneath it, a caption. "You wanted to be her sister? Let's make sure everyone knows." I stared at the screen, my heart pounding, breath shallow. This wasn't just about being caught anymore. Someone wanted to expose me. Someone who knew what this meant to me, who knew exactly how much it could destroy my life. The house felt too quiet. I stood up, looking down the hallway toward Emma's door. I wanted to tell her, but something stopped me. If she found out, she'd blame herself. She'd think it was her fault. No, I had to fix this myself. I grabbed my phone, heart racing, and whispered to myself, "I'll find out who did this before it's too late." But even as I said it, I could feel the walls closing in. Because deep down, I already knew the truth. Someone close to us had taken that picture. Someone who wasn't done playing their game. And soon, everyone would know who I really was. The last thing I saw before the scene faded to black was the message notification lighting up again. "Unknown, see you soon, sister." The screen went dark.